Hello, everyone. I'm hoping, yeah, we're good. Are we good?
I hope so. Who knows?
Okay. Maybe. We're trying out a new thing. We're streaming both on Just for Sales as well as Saves vs. Death, so hello to both communities. And welcome to Night City Sofa, a Cyberpunk RED talk show. If you're new to the channel or show, welcome in. If you're returning, thank you so much for your continued support. It really means a lot that you guys are here and that you come in and hang out with us. I appreciate it.
Welcome in.
I am Jessica, also known as Jess, a TTRPG player, Cyberpunk RED fan. You can find me streaming here on Twitch. I make various Cyberpunk RED related posts over on Blue Sky, or you can find me and my Cyberpunk RED homebrew that I create over on Patreon. All the links are below. Tonight I am joined by fellow Saves vs. Death cast member Games End. Hey, buddy.
Oh, hi, Jess. I didn't see you there.
Please introduce yourself, let people know what you're doing, what Saves vs. Death is doing, all that fun jazz.
Hi, I'm Games End. You can usually find me over on the Shades of Scarlet, doing nonsense as the character Wraith. I just realized that under this lighting, I look like I have a lot of more gray hair than I do. And I have gray hair, don't get me wrong, but I look awful.
But not this much.
So I'm trying to find the control
Foiled
for my
by
key
lights again.
Oh well. I will just look like I have very gray hair at the moment. But, yeah, you can find me there. You can find me here. Often I visit over on Night City Sofa. So, that is me. Hi.
Tonight, the two of us will be talking about Cyberpunk RED June DLC Rockerboy Index. The cover image is on the screen. And, alright, the music of Cyberpunk. That's the sublighting. I had a thing. There is a lot more to this DLC than maybe the title suggests, and maybe more than meets the eye, so we're going to go over some of the entries of this massive, 26-page DLC. You can find this and all other Cyberpunk RED DLCs on our Talsorian Games' website, which is linked in the video description, or you can download them over on DriveThruRPG, if that is easier for you. If you have any questions or comments, please post them. Either if you're here in the chat during the live stream, post there. If you're watching this afterwards, post in the YouTube comments. We will get to them. Additionally, we want to know which band or Rockerboy entry really interests you, and if you can figure out some of the IRL nods from this DLC.
Sorry, I was being told that my camera's reverse on my stream.
It is.
Not on yours.
It's on yours. Because I have us both talking towards the DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, you do you. However you want the orientation to be.
Not gonna mess with it at this point.
Works for me. They did, now, our Talsorian Games, I'm going to point this out I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but they recently changed how to download a DLC. It used to just be a super fun link that went to a blog post, and then you'd click a button and you were taken to the DLC and you could just download it, and it was beautiful and it was easy and it was super, super friendly. Now, it's slightly different. You'll notice the link is different on the screen. You have to go to talsorianstore.com, which is their store page. So if you go to talsoriangames.com, you have to click their store page. It's under the physical books tab, even though it is not technically a physical book. It is under the physical books tab, and then in the category on that page is under free DLCs. Once you click that, it does take you to a store page, so you do have to put in some information. Does not need to be true. Add it to your cart and buy it for free. You will get an email with your receipt, and then another email probably to your junk folder, as it went to mine. It went to, I think, Games', and I think it went to a few other people's. I had to click and say, please don't send future emails to my junk folder, which actually contains the DLC. So it's a lot more work.
It's still worth it, though.
It's definitely worth it. I believe the main point that I have been able to parse through as to why this change has happened is to better track how many downloads of each DLC occur.
That makes sense. Because I think I've downloaded each of them like probably 4 times myself, so I'm skewing the numbers.
Well, they don't have a metric to monitor it now, so even if you were skewing it, they couldn't tell. So it's a little more, if you're new, it's not going to be that big of a deal, because that's all you'll know. For those of you who are veterans who are used to just clicking a link, there's significantly more steps to jump through. So just be prepared for that. With that, let's get into the DLC, the Rockerboy Index. Just realized I'm gonna change that real quickly. Okay. So this is the second massive DLC we've gotten in the past 2 months, with 20 pages of this 26 DLC. 20 pages are either individual like solo acts or bands. There are 143 entries. And then
many.
3 pages of random tables and a small bit about musical genres unique to the universe to help understand some of the genres that you'll see in the entries. And essentially, everything in this DLC can help flesh out the life of a Rockerboy, or add atmosphere to your game, or provide ideas for gigs, perhaps. It's up to you. There's always more that you can do with it than it's not just a list, and we will get through that. But first, before we get into the lore, which we always start with, I want to look at the cover of this DLC. This one was created by Dolan Pondsmith, who we've seen before. Dolan does wonderful work. But if you have played before Cyberpunk RED, you may notice it's very similar to the 1989 supplement Rockerboy from the original. That was the original cover. So Dolan Pondsmith recreated the cover of Jamie Ice Waxman, frontman for Blood and Ice. And lore-wise, the image is Ice's recreation of the iconic magazine cover pose in order to promote the band's new album. So, yes, it's the thing from the thing. So you can take a look. I'm just going to quickly flip back and forth. 2045. And then
Jess will be doing that. I will not be.
I will be, sorry. There were certain things that didn't...
I don't have the
Yeah,
slideshow.
transfer. But you can see, even though the background's changed slightly, it's still just filled with speakers. You can see too that Ice has gotten a lot more chromed as time went on, which makes sense, because they've been rocking out for a long time. So there you go. But I like that they brought that cover back and just reimagined it. I thought that was a nice tie-in.
Yeah, it's neat.
As for the lore, the Dolan's continues. It does. Yeah, Dolan's been doing a lot, and they've been, hitting it out of the park every single time.
For sure.
But yeah, as for lore, we're going to pull back the curtain for a glimpse into the life of Cyberpunk RED line manager, Jay Gray. As Jay takes us on a journey of the influential story of Never Fade Away, and the power of a Rockerboy as Johnny takes a stand against a mega corporation. And in the original Cyberpunk box set, half the articles contained within were centered on musical acts. And it was very much the evocative, that Rockerboy getting everyone riled up, using their words and kind of that power of persuasion, of charisma, their charismatic impact, if you will, to stand up and try to create change. Maybe not Johnny, but, we'll get there. So Jay continues to talk about how, as he was working on the Edrunner's Guide to Night City, which is going to be the source book for 2045, he's thinking about what music is playing in the clubs, what songs people are listening to on their agents. And so he creates a new spreadsheet. And Jay totally understands. Spreadsheets save my life. Spreadsheets are wonderful. Spreadsheets are awesome. But as he's creating the spreadsheet, and he's opening books, he doesn't just go with what is in red, but he starts looking back, and he looks forward. And all of that gets added and filled in until finally it's done. He has some new artists as well, but essentially this DLC is all the information he collected in that spreadsheet that stops at 2045, obviously. Even though some bands that are featured in 2077 may have started here in 2045, it still stops at 2045 because that's the era we were working in. And of course, then we get the added goodness of random tables and music genre deets. So you get Jay Gray lore, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a different brand of lore.
Yeah. As for the unique musical genres, I'm going to pass that off to Games to explain.
Sure. So we are given 6 new unique genres. They are chipwave, which is much like modern chiptune music. It combines techno noise rock with retro video game sounds, and has that fun pop electronica feel with the Mario sound effects. We've got chromatic rock, which is a aggressive vocals in the line of like punk or metal, something like that, with electronic beats. It has a like post-disco feel to it, to leave the listener with the gritty and glam kind of feel, but like a more edgy version of pop punk. We've got corporate pop, which I'm sure we all know by now, but it's designed to be non-offensive earworms, the kind of thing that can be mass marketed and sold easily to adoring fans. We've got cyber grunge, which is very much the same as chromatic rock, but with a dirtier, more grungy feel to it. Think like punk rock and grunge coming up around the same time. They were very unique genres, but they had a similar heart. We've got grind tech, which is a descendant of gothic, industrial, and angst styles, and then all bled together and spat out against a wall of pain. I like to think of it as like where emo ended up, because it like took the good parts from gothic and emo and industrial and just kind of ran with it. And then we have tech noise, which is music generated at least partially by computers using random generation engines powered by everything from DNA to music compilations of fractal math, which is an interesting idea. I like it. It's like math rock.
Tech noise is math rock. Confirmed.
But yeah, with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jess to start talking about the next part of the book.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 20 pages of artists. There's 147 different entries. We are not going to go through them all. We're just gonna go over a select few. Chosen for various reasons. Who knows? I don't know why Games didn't make some of the decisions he made. I can tell you why I chose mine. But we essentially went, or attempted to do one per page at the very least. I may have gone over that in some cases. It's fine. So I'm going to start with Adam Dore, aka Adore, which is a great stage name. Especially for a corporate pop genre. Now, Adore was pushed to the top of the charts by DMS, aka Diverse Media Systems, in the 2030s. Officially, he died in a car accident in 2039, but rumors persist he took his own life. He is the father of indie rocker boy 40. Now, from Danger Gal dossier, under 40's entry, we know Adore was a lousy businessman who ended up screwed over by DMS thanks to the predatory contract. His big break broke him under what amounted to corporate indentured servitude, and his way out was to hide some of his work and pass it along with the only other legacy he had to offer. So 40 has taken what he had and started her own thing, very against corporations. Now we have 2 albums listed for Adore, one from 2037, one from 2038, each with 4 named songs. And if you don't have Danger Gal dossier, you may still recognize 40 from page 30 of the core rulebook. Specifically the Rockerboy rule entry, that badass chick with the guitar, that's 40. The quote on that page does talk about her father being a musician and how the corpse sucked him dry and spit him out. And if you grab easy mode for free, you can actually find 40's character sheet if you want to play that character. So this is a nice way to give like a little more background information to the character, to the world, because 40 is in the world, they are out there, that you can add to your Night City. It's also a great lesson for any Rockerboy considering selling out to a corporation. Maybe don't. Maybe don't.
I agree.
Dore's music genre falls under corporate pop, as I said, and his songs are featured on the random tables for Club Atlantis, Bella Mia, and Xanadu. That's my info on Dore. By the way, Games, on our page of notes, Games has highlighted his stuff in this bright pink, which was fine, but because I have to put like the dark filter on my monitors, otherwise I'm like a pasty white ghost, it's really blinding. So if you see me squint, that's why.
So next I'm going to talk about Blackheart. Blackheart was a chromatic rock band all the way back in 2013. I love the entry for this because it's like, it was a blink and you miss it band from Florida. They hit the charts for a couple of weeks and then completely vanished off the face of the earth. They released exactly one single called Blackout, and I love that like we are getting something as small as this. Like Blackheart, don't get me wrong, is influential in the music scene, but the fact that it's like, yeah, they have one song that you might hear on the radio, but probably not. Like, I love that. Like, if you wanted to make your character like really into Blackheart, like it would be such a thing for your character, you know?
Yes.
Like if you wanted to be like snobby about chromatic rock, and you're like, yeah, no, my favorite band is Blackheart. Like, I love it.
But we've seen a lot of bands that do that. They have like one-hit wonders, and then you just never hear from them again.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, I would suspect that in this time and place, that's kind of how the world is.
Yeah. Also,
moves quickly.
Actually, as a note on that, though, DMS, Diverse Media Systems, is scattered throughout this DLC, always, like, screwing over bands. So if you want like a horrible music corporation, DMS.
Yep. They're your guys.
Yeah, they're awful. Absolutely awful. Finally, I don't know if I mentioned it, but there's a lot of like IRL nods in this DLC. If you can figure them out, let me know.
Yeah, throughout the whole thing.
I think I'm talking about one specifically, but that's it. I know I missed most of them. So, but there's if you're music savvy, let me know.
Well, and like all the DLCs hide little Easter eggs and fun things in them if you like do the detective work, and this is no exception. Like there's plenty here if you're, paying attention.
So quickly I want to touch on Breakfast. As the name may sound familiar, because we were introduced to the punk juice bar, the 20, located in Pacifica, when Night City Atlas released earlier this year, which is a free DLC you can go pick up at the link that's on the screen. Now, we were simply told that Breakfast was the owner, which I thought was a single individual. Now we know it's the name of the punk band, and you can learn more about them in this DLC. But for this page, I wanted to talk about Bridget Bash. Now, Bridget Bash, if you picked up Interface Red Volume 4, or if you tuned into Night City Sofa when we spoke to Jay, you'll know Bridget Bash was first mentioned in that supplemental article, Cyberfist of Fury, in the lore story that kicks it all off. Because the person left Metal Storm after listening to a Bridget Bash concert, and I specifically asked Jay, I said, this name sounds new. He's like, we've never mentioned Bridget Bash before. Now we get a little more juicy information. It's just a small, intro in this DLC, but slowly they're getting, expanded upon, which I think is really, really cool and really, really fun. So Bridget started out in corporate pop as early as 2012. She was a diva, better known for who she was dating than her music, which is common in corporate pop singers, I feel.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. During that time, we know the 3 singles she released were Tomorrow Is Yesterday, Plug Into Me, and Still Awake, Still Alive. However, in 2032, she contracted cancer and decided to change her entire body, upgrading to a full body conversion, or FBC. If you want more information on FBC's Interface Red Volume 3 has the FBC information for you. So once the conversion was complete, Bridget reinvented herself as a heavy metal icon and has released the following singles: Ballad of Blood, and in 2042, Grindhouse Sex. So depending on how old your character is, you may have followed Bridget from when they started in 2012. Still
For
performing
sure.
today. And I do want to point out that I'm so glad I wrote this in my notes because I almost forgot. In the DLC, which you can see on Just First Tales stream, because for whatever reason it didn't transfer to saves. I'm so sorry. But there are these really cool album covers kind of scattered throughout the DLC. And I really like Break Fist's Another Stitch album cover, which took a hot minute for me to figure out how that worked.
I also really like the Destiny one.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and there's a few more, so I only wanted to show a few of these, but you get some really cool like album or single covers filtered throughout. So, oops, I'll leave that up for a bit. Apparently.
Next up, I'm going to talk about Damned Nation, which is a rap group. They were a West Coast group signed by Net 54. Why I love this entry, it's a super short entry, is that when they were asked had they sold out, they said, hell yeah, I'm sick of eating kibble. And like, if you look at their albums that came out, Money is the Master, or one of their singles is Money is the Master, which I love. That like, it's like, no, yeah, we did this for money. Like,
yeah. I want to eat, and I want to eat food that's not kibble, and...
Right. Yeah, I'm not doing this Rockerboy thing so that I can keep suffering.
Depending on who he signed with, it may be less bad.
Right. Who knows?
Who knows? Moving on, I want to talk about DSE, an all-female chromatic rock band from the East Coast back in the 2020s. DSE stood for Death, Sex, Eternity, but was also the chemical abbreviation for the hallucinogen commonly distributed at the band's shows. Lead singer Chloe Eden was well known for her self-destructive habits. They have a fantastic album cover in the DLC, so you should go and check that out. I don't have it here for you to take a look at. But if you're playing a Rockerboy, I thought it was a really neat take where you could have, you could add more to your shows by maybe releasing something specific to your band. Or if you're a game master, a cool gig idea. Things happening at concerts. I know we've seen that before with the Digital Divas. I believe in Tales of the Red Street Stories. I'm not going to say anything. Theirs was not of their doing, though. So, ideas, you can mix and match and create a gig, baby.
For sure. Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Okay, you had other notes.
I know, I just chose not to.
Okay. Next up, and so I did, when I picked mine, I tried to go with a very diverse genre category, is largely why I picked the ones I did. So I went with an electronic indie rock band called Eastern Wire. And they're a small band out of California with 3 synth artists and a taiko drummer, which I think is an amazing, like, image to picture. Like, 3 people with, like, synths, and then, like, one person on the taiko. They have one single. It's called 4 Gigs, 1 Rocker, and it was released in 2013. I like that because it's that small, like, indie rock group that released one song and kind of faded out, but they still travel California, doing, like, backyard shows. That's the impression I get from them.
Sorry, the music picked up during that entry. Yes. And I was like, I need to lower this. That's awesome. I don't think I wrote... I don't think it's the one we're talking about, but there's also a band that uses a theremin, which I was very excited for.
Right, which is amazing.
Yes. I don't think we talked about it, but there's a band that uses the theremin.
More bands should use theremins, by the way.
Yes. Okay, so next I want to talk about Easy 8, a popular DJ in Night City whose genre is improvisational tech noise. So as a reminder, tech noise music is generated, at least partially, by computers using random generation engines. As for Easy 8, no one's ever seen their face, which very much reminds me of Daft Punk. Like, it's got a very Daft Punk feel to me. Whispers suggest they're actually a drone controlled by an artificial intelligence. Now, the only album that we have that was released in 2045 is a recording of a 3-hour performance at Delirium. Now, Delirium is a goth punk virtuality club located in downtown Night City. And that information was taken from the Night City Atlas, so you can check that out there as well. Now, with Edgerunner's Guide to Night City on the horizon, I am not privy to whatever's in that book, I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if we learn more about Easy 8 and maybe a nefarious plot behind this DJ.
Right, like so there's enough there for it to be a thing.
I'm excited to see if Edgerunner's Guide to Night City has an expanded section on Easy 8.
And if it doesn't, then you can make one for your game.
Yeah, dude, let me know what you created.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Throw it in our Discord. Next up, I'm talking about Groove Pavement, which is a corporate rock band. Once again, this is a nothing band. Like, I did a lot of one-hit wonders. The thing I love about this one is that they're more famous for being the music used in the backdrop for a Militech recruitment commercial than nobody recognizes their band. And I feel like there's so many bands from, like, the early 2000s and 90s that, like, you hear their music in a commercial, you're like, oh, I know that song, but you have no clue the name of the band. And I love that so much.
Yeah. Okay, I have a lot here because this was a section where I was like, I have too many that I want to talk about. So... first is a band from San Francisco called Godzilla IE, which is essentially, if you say IE, it's a scream. They're from San Francisco. It's so fun. It's so fantastic. And thank you to whoever created that. Jay, thank you for adding it to the spreadsheet. It made me laugh. It made me smile. And great. Just great. Next, Grace Steele and the Distortions. If you want to learn more about Grace Steele, you get to meet her in Hope Reborn, the street-level campaign for Cyberpunk RED, so pick that up. We also have the Harrowers, which is the house band for the Sinful Atoms. The Harrowers play goth punk music. The Sinful Atoms, and I could be wrong, I can't remember if they debuted in Halloween Scream Sheets DLC. If they showed up before that, I don't think they did. I could be mistaken. But they are the, goth crew that hangs out in the cemetery, and during Halloween they have a carnival. So in Halloween Scream Sheets, the Philharmonic Vampires tried to disturb that. You guys get to try to save it. Here we did some carnival games. They stole a Gothicorn. It was a lot of fun. You should go check out that Night City episode. But I'm really hoping that they also get an expanded section in the Edgerunner's Guide to Night City, because they're just such a fun crew, and I'd love to know more about them.
For sure.
Next, we have Data Pack was their first mention, you think? I really have to go through the Data Pack. I've not, and I need to.
Yeah, and it keeps coming up in conversations about things. So.
Mm-hmm. But thank you, LCC. I'll take a look. They may be there first. Next on my short list here is Gold, a rap rock artist and one of the first major pop sensations of the 2040s. Gold made it big on the Garden Teacher sense of style and fashion and music, and you can see a couple of those release singles in this DLC. Now, Gold, if you're like, Gold sounds familiar, we've seen them before, they're actually in the core rulebook. And I don't have it open right now, and this image is way too tiny for me to show. But, I didn't write down the page number, but if you look on one of the garden page ads that are scattered throughout, it's in one of those the TV shows or whatever, because Gold has since moved on to acting, and they are part of Tom and Gold, a TV show that she self-produces, where she's, given up music, gone back to the slums to reconnect to her roots, and she's met hardware store owner Tom, who's also a solo, and it's, this reality TV show that follows Tom and Gold. So we got a little more information about Gold, which is kind of cool. Oh man, I really put like a lot of these in a row. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
You could have.
I
told you.
2 more before.
I have 2 more. I was like, all right. I wanted to talk about James, Rockerboy, Manson. That was like the big one, and then I forgot that I have someone underneath there as well. So Rockerboy Manson is why the whole like Rockerboy title kind of exists. That kind of definitely exists. I know a lot of people, when they think Rockerboy, they think Johnny Silverhand, but the term Rockerboy wouldn't exist without James Manson. So, they were a classic UK rocker that gave a name to the many who followed in his footsteps. Rockerboy used his songs to speak against the injustices of the British government and the increasing wealth disparity of the nation's people. On August 3rd, 1997, Manson was beaten to death by British cops while on stage at a benefit concert. And then 500 deaths resulted in the riots that followed. Manson's death has become known as the Amnesty Incident, inspired the movement of music speaking to the power that carries his name. Now, in the listing above Rockerboy Manson, Jack Maximum was also an activist Rockerboy who was murdered by Biotechnica troops shortly after attending a vigil honoring the 25th anniversary of the Amnesty Incident. Kind of like a recurring theme. Right. And Time of the Red is 2045, but as you know, it kind of goes before, kind of goes a little bit after. 2047 is the 50th anniversary of the Amnesty Incident. So, for all of you GMs and or players in the world where the Amnesty Incident may be important to your character or maybe important to your world or something you want to honor, 2047, 50th anniversary, add it to your game.
That could be a big thing.
That could be a huge thing. It should be a huge thing. I feel like it should be a huge thing. So, gig, world, I don't know, things. Maybe Rockerboys around the city hold their own private concerts and vigils and...
Yeah, it could be a massive...
Huge. So that's yes, James Rockerboy Manson. TYBS roots. Don't listen to Johnny's lies. Last... I wanted to talk really quickly about Johnny Ridden, because the editor talks about a DNA-specific drug that was used as a means of mind control, and this was back in 2010. So imagine how far that drug has come in the 35 years that's followed, or, since, everything got blown to shit, how valuable the drug formula could be in 2045.
Right.
Just, maybe a thought. Keeping
It's
your
an
head.
Interesting concept, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a great gig. Around. Could be a great mystery. Alright, I'm done talking.
Yeah, for a second. I've got a couple coming up. Not in a row, but...
Yeah, in a row, because you know what? I'm not going to talk about this. I'm going to cut it.
No! Alright, yeah, that makes sense. I thought you were going to change the highlight color on that one. So I've got Julio, Villareal, and Salsa Magica, which is a Latin dance group. Once again, this is me trying to cover a lot of genres, but something like that ties a lot of mine together is the very like punk rock feel, because they had this like mostly instrumental band, and they had like such force that they overcame corporate attempts to sanitize their music and make it more Americanized. And instead they had like a new wave of, the Latin invasion that we got with, Ricky Martin and all, Enrique Iglesias and all them. And so like I love that like the Latin dance music is coming back. It's got to feel like, granted, I mean their first album came out in 2013. But I like that, like, it's, we got the flair on the streets, so it's good to see.
And that's a good reminder that it's not just like these new genres as well, but we do have a lot of like current musical genres as well. As you've mentioned, there's rap. Now there's Latin dance. There's folk music, folk bands
There's
as well.
Indie.
So that it really covers like everything. Which
All
is
right,
nice to
I'm
see.
gonna get in trouble with this next one.
It's not canon.
Nope. Wait, you wait.
It is not canon.
I'm doing Kira Less Than 3. She is an idol singer. And in this DLC, it says since her debut album in 2042, Kira Less Than 3 has made history. Not only is she the first FBC idol singer to reach #1 on the charts, but also the first idol since the end of the Fourth Corporate War to leave Asia on and tour. And like we get Shining Spark as one of her singles, High in Your Love, and Chrome Heartbeat. Now, this is clearly a reference to the Making Friends and Pouring Drinks DLC.
Making drinks, changing lives.
Thank you very much.
Saving lives, one of those.
Even though it has been clearly stated that this does not canonize it, it does. For sure.
No, it does not.
Because if you read the entry, it is almost identical. It talks about how that she is a full Borg superstar idol and how much people love her. I think this clearly canonizes it, regardless of what they say. Fight the power. Pluto is a planet.
Pluto is a planet. I will defend that. But no, Kira Less Than 3 is clearly a nod to the Valhalla character. It does not mean Glitch City or the characters in that DLC are canon. This is a legally distinct character. Legally different, not the same.
No, I love that she is, that stereotypical idol, and I think that's really fun to see that tradition continues even in 2042 and beyond. But yeah, no, I totally canonized. All right, now moving on.
No, it's not. But I do like that this was a nod to that video game and to that partnership yet again. I like that they've, still brought that in as its own new different entity. Hashtag not canon.
We'll agree to disagree on this.
Sure, it's okay. I'll call the big guns. They'll tell you.
Alright, so the next one I wanted to do is Low End, which is another rap group, and I've already talked about rap, but what I enjoy about this is that it's a hardcore, like gangster style rap, with a single called Bitch is a Borg, released in 2020. But it's funny because it says that their career was ended abruptly when it was exposed that they were actually just lip-syncing over stolen tracks of a dead artist, which is clearly, a reference to real-life people, but also just amazing. That, like, they're... Yeah, that was all. That's all I wanted to mention. I love them.
That's great. Next we have the Mighty Mighty Trio, which I feel like it's a nod to Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yeah, I feel like it is,
right?
For sure.
In canon, in world, the Mighty Mighty Trio is a small-time chromatic ska band that gets most of their money from edge running. They recently caused a stir after appearing on stage at Short Circuit, despite reportedly dying in an AV crash on Halloween. Now, I'm going to say this band is briefly mentioned in the No Place Like Home DLC. There's an example of the Mighty Mighty Trio looking to upgrade their base before the story, the actual in-depth one follows the Cyber 6. But the Mighty Mighty Trio is mentioned in No Place Like Home. So hopefully we'll get to see more of their antics. Antax? That's not a word. Antics in the future.
Hopefully.
Let's give it for the chromatic ska band, Mighty Mighty Trio.
Continuing with my theme of genre changes, I went with Pipn Hot, which is a country band, so It says that they're a true son of Nashville who made, fame across different genres and stuff like that. But their ultimate fate is unknown. But some people believe they were killed by an angry mob because they released a song that was too upbeat. And I love that, like, if you read their singles, like "Drunk with My Dog," "You Said You'd Never Leave," and then like "Fired by Daddy Corp," is like so like, my beer, my gun, like traditional, what you think of when you think of like country western, yeah, and like that theory that like fans killed them because they released too upbeat of a song, like that's awesome.
It's awesome. It's also so true for like bands that completely change. I remember in university I did I was taking some musical like history class, I can't remember. And Sugar Ray, which is known for Fly. Like Fly was their big single that went, off the charts. Very pop. It's a pop song. Most of their music before that and like on the rest of that album is rock. It's like, yeah. It's like hard rock. And then Fly took off and they shifted into a pop band.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But you look at like, what's their name? The people who did Chumbawamba, right? They released the song Tub Thumping, which got huge famous.
Yes.
They have always been an anarchical, like, political folk band. And they released one pop song that got radio play, but they went right back to their anarchical music. Like, if you listen to any of the rest of their stuff, it is all, like... And there's a reason they only made, like, 3 albums after that. But, like... Yeah. It's amazing.
It's the same thing. Luckily, none of their fans killed them over playing a song off genre.
Goodness.
Dark Future. Cyberpunk RED, Dark Future. I am going to talk about the Red Star Girls. The biggest neo-Soviet band to break out of the former Eastern Bloc since the end of the Fourth Corporate War. These women aren't just corporate manufactured pop stars, they're ambassadors of an entire nation. Now, the members of the Red Star Girls include Spooky Star, Snarky Star, Sassy Star, Sloppy Star, and Soldier Star, which is similar to the 90s British pop band, the Spice Girls, featuring Scary Spice, Ginger Spice, Posh Spice, Baby Spice, and Sporty Spice. We essentially have neo-Soviet Spice Girls, and I fucking love it.
Right. Because it's like the Red Sun Superman, but this is like the Red Star Spice Girls.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My next one is called Short Circuit Filkrunners, which is the genre filk music.
What is filk music?
Yeah, I have no clue. But from the description of this, the reason I like it so much is it sounds a lot like nerdcore, because it talks about how it has a rotating group of netrunners and techs that are like the band, led by Leslie Shark, and they sing songs that are inspired by science fiction, fantasy, and horror stories. So it just sounds like fanfic music, which is amazing. And it sounds like, because it says they take the stage at Short Circuit on the second Friday of each month. But their singles are I Saw Max Tack Hunting Santa, Choom, and The Ballad of Space Marine. This sounds like the best, like, nerdcore, like, that, like, just fan music, and I think it's really cool to see it in there. And I've never heard of filk music before this, so I'm all for it.
I'll have to research it. I saw Max Tack Hunting Santa Choom. That is the song, and I think the 12 Days of Red Mist DLC?
I think so, yeah.
If my brain...
It might be Gearmas, but...
It could be Gearmas. It's definitely one of the 12 Days December DLCs. Not the Cutie Miss one that released in April. One of the December ones. I don't think we've got Ballad of a Space Marine. That hasn't come out yet.
No, but sure, I want to hear it now.
The album HALO. But no, that's really fun. Also, if you're looking for something to do in game and it's the second Friday of a month,
you know where they're playing.
Yeah, go check them out at Short Circuit.
Yep.
And next I have Sinningtheteks. I think that's how it's probably not pronounced that way, because I feel like if you put the emphasis on a different syllable, you'll get a better sounding name for that.
I get Sinningtheteks, so...
They are the world's first grindtech band. Grindtech is that angsty, gothic industrial music. Now, the first album celebrated gang culture and served as ambassadors of the techno-humanist movement, a belief similar but not identical to transhumanism, which is, in simple terms, using technology to become better. Now, later albums were less openly violent. However, their first album, Full Leather Jacket, not to be confused with Full Metal Jacket, released in 2012, and it remains popular with gangs like the Enhanced to this day. Now, the Enhanced we learned about, again, from the Night City Atlas DLC. They are a cult that believes cyberpsychosis represents the next stage of human evolution. And I think this is a great example of how a band or a single Rockerboy can have an outcome they didn't necessarily desire or expect and or want. It does say, like, later albums came out that they released was after they received extensive therapy. But it's this first album where they were clearly in this not great mental state that is about open, like, violence and everything else that this cult has latched onto and would like to, and helps pump them up to achieve their goals. And I just think it's a really great thing as a GM to consider with, your Rockerboy's popular, but what happens when someone misinterprets your message and or takes your message to the extreme?
Right. That's why I'm always very careful. My message is love. Like...
They haven't always been.
You're right.
Your Rockerboy's messages haven't always been. Sometimes they've been literally go fight the power, destroy their shit, rob them. Down with corporations.
Yeah, but that's, the
not wrong,
motif.
But it certainly could become bad. And this is this is an album that's 30 years old, but it's still popular in this movement. So, lasting consequences. Love to see it.
Right, for sure. My next one doesn't really make much sense for why I picked it, but I will explain that. I did Starving Dogs, which is an acid country band, which I love the genre of acid country as a whole. But it's a small underground band led by a singer and guitarist, Pierre Garcia. Starving Dogs played across the American South in the 2020s. And the reason I'm talking about the band is because I love hearing about, like, this band didn't really interact with Night City. Like, you'll hear the music in Night City because they were popular enough that the music got out. But I love anything that's interacting with other parts of the nation that, like, we don't really hear about. Like, you never hear about the Dust Bowl that the Midwest became and the brush fire unless you, like, research it and then you're like, oh my god. Or, like, White City, which I wanted to set a game in recently, which is really interesting if you study it, but, like, there's so much of the world that, like, we're just focused on Night City for the most part, and so it's cool to see, a small band, a country band going in the Southwest, or the South, and doing their thing,
And I get why. I know there's a lot of people who would like to see content, like, outside of Night City, but it's like, for me, it's kind of like Gotham, right? There's, like, so much you can do in Gotham that, yes, the rest of the world exists, but instead of building the rest of the world, there's still so many stories we can tell in Gotham.
Right. No, for sure. I get that.
But I love it, and I think,
the next one-shot I do is for sure set outside of Night City, though, so...
And go for it. Take it. I love bands that come in from, like, outside places. And there were quite a few. There's a couple Canadian bands, so thank you for that. Because if you don't know, I am Canadian.
What?
What? There was a band that I can't remember what they did. Or were we talking about this? I'm gonna hold that thought.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold that thought because I think they may be on the list. So just in case. To be commented on later.
All right.
So again, I have a couple quick. Well, these are actually super short in a row, but Stormrider I wanted to point out because they're a very unknown underground band, but the lead singer is the one who opened and runs the Slammer, which is a bar in South Day City. A lot of bands open bars. I've learned that is a very apparent.
It's a retirement technique.
Easy, progression. Under the band Sweeney, it talks about rumors of cannibalism. And I really hope, and I could be wrong, but I really hope this is not to Sweeney Todd.
Oh no, it is for sure a reference to Sweeney.
Right? It has to be. I feel like it has to be. But the band I wanted to talk about is Take Your Best Shot, or TYBS. A perfect combination of a J-pop idol group and American boy band. So if you took those two things and married them together, you would get Take Your Best Shot. They are a chromatic idol global sensation. So they are known all around the world. So no matter where your game is set, people know this group. And their fans are known for their toxic infighting as much as they're known for their rabid devotion to members Tyler, Yuto, Benny, and Shintaro. Now, we've seen this group appear in the 12 Days of Cuteness DLC when Sanru partnered with Take Your Best Shot and created the Hello Cutie Janice Hex. Which, of course, the weapon is for the desirable male to politely fend off unwanted attention, which when you read the words rabid devotion to band members, you understand why the Janice Hex was created. Maybe. Of course, their proprietary set balls have the faces of the band members. But I love that you can also, if you are in the world, if you are a tech or a Rockerboy, you could have weapons or merch designed to help you with your lifestyle. Depending on what kind of lifestyle you lead, if you get rabid fan members that you need to be like, no, stay politely. Because, boy bands and idol singers need to maintain a specific image, so they can't just be like rough and gruff. They need to be polite.
Right.
Now you have a whole new tool that you've entered into the world. And I think that's fantastic. That's a fantastic starting point as to why this was created.
Well, and if you were one of those rabid fans and you're trying to rush them on the stage or whatever, and security shot one of the balls at you that had the face of your favorite singer on that, it's a small consolation.
But with the toxic infighting, if you didn't get the band member that you were hopelessly devoted to, you'd be so upset.
Right? Why'd I get Benny?
Yeah, exactly. When is Shintaro? Benny sucks. And then from next to them, how dare you break out a fight? That's how it's gonna go.
A mosh pit at a
boy band concert. As a boy band concert? Yes. No, because mosh pits are right. If somebody falls, you pick them back up. That's how mosh pits work. This is so much worse.
All out melee. Okay, so I'm talking about Watchmen, and I am going to... There's a lot here. They're a Christian rock band, which is a militant Catholic rock band protesting against the United States government. All 6 members of the band have been sent nearly to 2 decades in federal prison after being convicted of 62 charges ranging from terrorism, treason, possession with intent to distribute, and upon release, the band put out a new album protesting the neo-Catholic reform of the 2010s. The band was assassinated 6 months later by a Swiss solo, rumored to be in the employ of the Vatican. That is incredible. This band is such a hot mess, and I think it's amazing.
Can I just say that 62 charges is an insane number, and you already have treason and terrorism on there. Those are big tickets. They're but also intent to distribute. Every charge we can throw at these guys, we're going to throw at them.
And the Christian rock band mentioned,
Catholic,
it's still Christian, but Christian rock band is the one that has been assassinated for being too angry
by the Vatican.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Like, somewhere the Pope was like, we need to put a stop to these guys.
Yeah, take care of the problem, please. Yeah. But yeah.
After they spent nearly 2 decades in prison. So 2 decades of prison was not enough to quell these guys.
No, they came out just as big a jerks as they were when they went in.
Yeah, and they were like, we need a more permanent solution.
Well, and I wanted to say, like, we didn't even, like, hit the keynotes on this. There are still more than 120 bands listed in this DLC. Like, there's so much in here, and it's amazing, and there's such good stuff. Like, Jess and I talked about this beforehand, because when she was talking about doing this, she's like, I didn't think you'd be interested, because, like, certain things that feel like they're GM-facing, I usually am like, nope, I'm not even going to read it. But, like, this, like, when you get into it, has such good information. And I have to say, like, my hat off to Artel. Not that we're sponsored or anything, but, like, we play in their world, and they've been great to the fans releasing this DLC. But, like, they usually, in most of their DLCs, there's stuff in there to latch onto and make something interesting out of. And this is no exception.
No.
So.
It was this band I was thinking of that I forgot, but there was another band that was also charged with something or whatever. So they fled the country, and they resurfaced a couple years or decade or so later in Vancouver. So Vancouver, Canada, and then they started promoting stuff from there. So that was my Canadian reference tie-in from before, and I was like, oh wait, did we talk about that? Is that the last band you're mentioning?
Nope, my people just went to prison.
Nope. And then got assassinated. But yes, as you mentioned, like, that's why I said, like, there's so much in this DLC. It's not just a list of bands and their info. It's not just like a GM's tool guide. Like, there's so much you can do with this, even as a player. For your backstory, for if these are like idols that you listen to, because singers have influence, like, we know that. You know, and do any of these bands speak to you as something that you may have listened to or your character listened to, and is pushing them in a direction?
Well, and like we've shown, if you
Villareal.
do like a little bit of research, they're referenced other places, and they're, you know, there's more information out there. Like, you have to connect the dots, you have to play detective, but there's always a lot of really cool depth if you're willing to look for it. So.
No. It's so good. It's so good. And then, of course, in the final few pages, there's 12 random tables, each for a different location, night city. You roll 2d6, and then it'll tell you what song is currently playing. Sometimes it could be a live band. A band could be playing live, which is, you know, a fantastic way to start a gig. If a band member, you know, they happen to stumble upon a band member. Great way to make contacts if you're, you know, literally any role. If you're any role. I mean, I feel like it's especially helpful for, like, fixers, media, or Rockerboys, but really any role can benefit from having a Rockerboy contact.
Well, and yeah, we kind of, like, you can easily see, like, a Rockerboy opens for this band when they know them, or, you know, a media can get information from them, but a cop could get information from them. A corp could hire them to, like, do
Open
a spot
promote.
for some, like, honestly, any group, even like a Nomad, the band could be interested in hiring the Nomads to, like, bring something into the city or get them out of the city when things get too hot. Like, there is no role that doesn't make sense with this information. Like, solos are bodyguards, medtechs have to help the ODing rock stars. Like, it's like this is great information.
I was going to say there is, I believe it's Anger was the solo artist back in 2013, if memory serves. They did an ad campaign for musical instruments for a company that is not Killstrom, and I don't know if that company still exists. I should probably research it. I didn't, clearly. But after the campaign ad ended, they tried to go solo and couldn't make it. But if you're playing an exec and you need to promote a band, find some unknown artist that you can pay, and then you're not responsible for them afterwards, but hey, you know, this could be your big break, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another one that traveled with the Blood Nation. So when you talk about like nomads and Rockerboys tying in, absolutely, there was a template for that exact thing.
Yeah.
I think it was a Blood Nation circus, which is really interesting because you don't see a lot of circusy stuff in
the
world.
Which is always cool to see. Yeah.
So and there's so much you can do with this.
Don't sleep on it. And even though it's slightly harder to get now, totally worth it.
Yeah, it's okay. Also, as player or GM, I'm so glad I wrote this as a small note. Tailor your hustles. If you get a week to hustle, you can absolutely tailor it with something that's in this DLC.
Yeah.
There's a lot there to work with, to give you ideas to springboard off of. You are not limited to what is in the core rulebook as long as your GM permits it.
For sure.
So, go pick it up. As I said, it's now in a new spot. It's at TalsorianStore.com. And in their categories, you'll see a free DLC section. It took me forever. It's not in the Cyberpunk RED section because that's where my eye was drawn to first. And I was like, DLC for Cyberpunk RED. I'll click Cyberpunk RED. Don't do that. That's a mistake I made like 3 or 4 times. It is its own thing, marked free DLC. If you're going from their website, you have to click their store, and then the dropdown is the one that says physical books. Even though it is not a physical book, that is where it's currently housed.
Or you could be lazy like me, and because the banner still exists and shows it, you can click the banner and it'll take you right to the store page for it, and just to add to cart from there. So
I think that got added after the fact. I think eventually it did get posted as a blog post. I don't know if they will continue to be doing that. So
we'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe don't count on that to always be there.
Well, and there's always, for your convenience, if you're wanting older DLCs or something like that, you can go to drive-thru and get the bundles that have all of the DLC from a certain area of time, which is an easy way to get a lot of it all at once. And once again, it's still free. So
yes, this is free no matter where you pick it up on the Talsorian store.
If you pay for it,
drive-thru RPG.
Bad deal.
Unless you're paying for it as part of an interface red book.
Right. Because then it's a physical book and it's a thing.
And you get a whole new extra content of goodness, and you help support the company that gives us this wonderful DLCs for free. So, but if it's just the free DLC and you're paying for it, that's wrong, and you should definitely contact our Talsorian Games and let them know that someone is stealing. Yes. And with that, on that happy note of corporate greed, personal greed, digital theft, I don't know. That will conclude this episode of Night City Sofa. Games, thank you so much for joining me tonight, buddy. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
And hear your thoughts.
I appreciate it.
Thank you guys in chat who have been here, who have been chatting or just lurking. Either way, it's been wonderful to have you here. Yes, my friend.
I was going to say, this did take the place of our normal Shades of Scarlet game because we were at a story break at the end of a season and things were going on in people's lives. But in theory, should the universe permit it, we should be starting the next season of Shades of Scarlet this time next week.
No.
So, really, I thought it was the week after we were going to have to miss.
So,
we're missing a whole nother week?
By the way, guys, Monday, I believe, I could be wrong. Sunday, no, Tuesday, I was wrong, I just went the wrong way. Tuesday's Canada Day, so to all my fellow Canadians, happy Canada Day, but Friday is Independence Day, so there's no way we are streaming on your guys' long weekend.
Okay. Alright, so there'll still be a couple of weeks, but keep an eye on the channel, there'll probably be something up, so...
So we'll be doing something. Maybe we'll get to playing games as not Night City World. Ooh. I'm gonna make a character based solely on that band. that was from that had like one entry and wasn't from Night City.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know what your favorite entry was. If you picked up on musical nods that we didn't cover, because there is a lot of them. I know Dead Kennedys are referenced. There's a lot. So tell me which ones you found. And any future things you might like to see discussed. I know I still have to finish my review of Hope Reborn. I will get to that, I promise. I'll also be going over the data pack at some point. But until next time, Tombs, stay frosty.